On today's show, we explore how a Tolkien exhibition in my local village got me thinking about purpose, passion, and the one big thing you want your life to be remembered for. So, grab your copy of Lord of the Rings, get comfy, and let's Movify your life. Welcome to the Movify Your Life show, the plot twist you've been waiting for. I'm your host, Jessica Grace Coleman, and through the Movify Your Life method, I'll show you how to step into the starring role of your story and create a life worth watching. Every Movify Monday, you'll learn how to turn everyday moments into unforgettable memories, activate your main character energy, and use cinematic tools to boldly chase your biggest dreams, like the movie star you truly are. Because when the credits roll, I want you to look back at your life like it's the greatest film ever made, full of meaning, magic, and most importantly, zero regrets. And because I truly believe everyone deserves to live an epic life fit for the big screen. So, grab your popcorn, cue the music, and together, let's Movify your life.
Movify your life show begins. Lift your spirit, let joy rush in. Feel the magic in the roar. Step on stage and let's forward.
Hello, and welcome to the Movify Your Life show. I am your host, Jessica Grace Coleman, but you can call me Jess. And today's episode is all about a Tolkien exhibition I went to in my local village, but it is titled, What's Your Life's Work? Your Purpose and the Project You'll Be Remembered For. And you'll see why as I tell you all about my little trip to my local village memorial hall for the exhibition. So yeah, the other weekend I attended an event put on, as I said, in my local village. Actually, I should say one of my local villages because there are kind of three clustered together. And I kind of think of them all as being home. I think they're all in the same kind of parish, if that's the right word. I technically live in one. I went to primary school in another and was also christened in that one. And actually the location of where I live is kind of more in the other village despite its address. So they all kind of feel like home. So I refer to them all as my home village, which is a bit confusing. But anyway, I'd seen this event being promoted on social media in all the local groups, and I thought it sounded quite cool. So it was billed as a kind of Tolkien weekend, like an exhibit, an event. And I believe it was held by the local Tolkien Society. Can't remember their exact name, but basically celebrating Tolkien's life, the author of Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, and all that good stuff. If you're not aware, I should probably say that. And we particularly love him around here because we kind of claim him as one of our own, even though he only lived in our village, I think for a few months during World War I, when he was recovering from trench fever. He came and lived with his wife Edith in a little cottage in one of the villages, the three villages. And basically, we think a lot of the local area inspired him to add certain things to his books. There are certain things that fit with local buildings and landmarks and bridges and things like that. So we think it's pretty cool. But anyway, I didn't think much of it when they're promoting it. I just thought, that looks cool. I love books and authors and visiting their houses and things. I've walked past the place Tolkien stayed in loads of times in the village. And I like the films too. And I've been to New Zealand and done some set jetting there. I've gone on Lord of the Rings tours and things. So I thought I'd go and check it out. And I went with my brother Dave, who also saw it online and wanted to go as well. Now, the first thing we saw as we pulled up in the car to park was the Mayor of Stafford and his wife, and their bodyguard, I believe, and also Gandalf the Wizard. And it was a boiling hot day right in the middle of the heat wave, and this guy was in full wizarding garb, hat, cloak, big beard, everything, so hats off to him. And I later found out he'd come all the way over from Germany for the weekend after meeting the main guy of the society at a different event. I'm not sure if it was a Lord of the Rings event or a Tolkien thing. And I assume he was also dressed as Gandalf then, but I don't know. And they were all in a group together, along with a local artist who provided some of the artwork for the event. And they were taking pictures, I assume for the paper, next to a new plaque that the village had installed as part of this Tolkien celebration, and a new finger post as well, pointing out the main Tolkien-related sites in the area. So the cottage where he lived, the reading room he frequented, which is now a social club next to the memorial hall, and some of the places that apparently inspired some of the places in Lord of the Rings, as I said, including Shugborough Hall, which is our local stately home, which you can walk to from my house. And it also happens to be the place my mom worked at for years when I was little. So I spent a lot of time in my childhood around that stately home. So it's pretty cool. There's also Essex Bridge, which is a famous bridge. I believe it's grade 1 listed, and I Googled it, and some websites say it's the longest surviving pack horse bridge in Britain. So there you go. So there are places, and some other places as well, where we think inspired him to write the places, or some of the places in Lord of the Rings. So, of course, we strolled straight over to the group and asked for a photo with Gandalf and the mayor, as you do. You've just got to go straight for Gandalf in these situations, don't you? So that was quite a nice little way to start the event. And then we did the short walk over to the Memorial Hall where the main exhibit was being held. Again, one of like 3 of our village halls we have over the 3 villages. And it was really cool. There was loads of informative displays about the books, about the films, about Tolkien's life. Loads of local schools had done like artwork and displays. There was the main artwork from the lady. I believe her name was Hannah, who we met at the Finger Post as well. A World War I display. There was a whole big World War I display, actually, complete with a hell of a lot of guns and ammunition, a mannequin of Tolkien, and he had a pigeon friend as well. That's cute. The mannequin did look slightly like he was staring into your soul, and he did have a fabulous smoky eye going on. So that was interesting. But it was really good setup, really good exhibition. There was even a little stall selling items, and I loved a good gift shop, like no matter what form it comes in, including prints of the artwork from the lady, a little book on the Tolkien Trail, which is a walk you can do in the local area, which encompasses all the main Tolkien-related sites, which I haven't done actually. I should go and do that. And also a huge book on the local village and all the people from history who've lived here and all the sort of significant events that have happened here. And that was written by the main man, the man responsible for this whole event, who was author and speaker and local historian. And I think he's the chair of the local War Commemoration Society as well, but I may have got that wrong. David Robbie. He was there too. We'd also met him at the Finger Post with the mayor and the artist and Gandalf. And I bought one of his books. Always support local authors. As an author myself, I definitely do that when I can. And he signed it for me as well as he was there, so that was cool. And I also bought the Tolkien Trail booklet and a couple of art print postcards. I'm just a sucker for a gift shop, even if it's just like one tiny table in the corner of an exhibition room. I don't know what it is. I just feel like I have to buy something, especially with a local event like this and supporting the community and all that good stuff. So, it's fine. And we went pretty early on the first day of the 2-day exhibition. It was over the weekend. So that's why the mayor was there. He was sort of not necessarily opening it, but he was there to see it be opened. So we were also there when the mayor did a little speech thanking everyone, including David Robbie, Gandalf, the artist, others, which was a nice little moment. He got gifted David's book and the mayoress got given a bunch of flowers grown in the village, which I thought was very cute. So I was glad I was there for that moment. You could also go into the back of the hall and get food. They were serving breakfast sandwiches and tea and cake, all very British and villagey and lovely, bunting everywhere. I had cake and hot tea despite it being boiling, which is also a very British thing to do, all throughout the heatwave. Boiling hot tea. It makes sense, right? And also at this point, I want to say that as well as it being a nice community event, nostalgia was playing a big part for me as I went around the Memorial Hall because I spent a lot of time there when I was younger because I used to attend, when I was really young, I used to take ballet classes there, followed by tap and modern dance a bit later on. And it always feels a little nostalgic going back there. And I've also been to lots of other events there as well. I think I went to some tap dancing classes there with my mom and her friend who ran it. My mom actually also used to hold fitness classes there, or Keep Fit as it was known back in the 90s, which is kind of cool. And also the last time I was there, which was several years ago, it was because my mom was playing in her band. She was in her 70s, still rocking out in bands, and they did covers of mostly 60s and 70s music. And I went to watch along with the rest of my family. And as my mom has since sadly passed away, it was bittersweet to be back there again, but also nice. I did have a moment where I was sort of transported back to being a 6-year-old girl again, being dropped off for my ballet class, especially as the hall hasn't changed much since then. And it's always interesting to think of all the time that has passed. Anyway, we looked around the exhibition. We had our tea and cake. We went to the, air quotes, gift shop. Then we had a quick stroll up to the house where Tolkien and Edith lived in 1916 to 1917, which is called Rock Cottage, even though I'd seen it loads of times. And then we headed home. And Rock Cottage is an interesting place because it is a cute little cottage, as the name suggests. And it has the official blue plaque outside announcing it as Tolkien's one-time home. I actually had 2 plaques, a more modern one, and they both said pretty much exactly the same thing, which is a bit weird. But anyway, and that's all very nice and lovely. But apart from one thing, so years ago, it's been this way as long as I've sort of been aware of it anyway, the owners decided to put in a lovely, elegant, frosted pane of glass in the door with the name of their home etched onto it. I don't know if it's still the same people who own the house, but they made it into a kind of spoonerism, I believe the term is, where they switched the first letter of each word. And I'm not going to say it on the podcast because it's pretty gross, but instead of Rock Cottage, it says, well, I'm sure you can work it out. And this is on a historical home with a blue plaque out the front and probably a place that a lot of people visited over that weekend. So it's kind of funny and also super gross at the same time. Anyway, you're probably wondering why I'm banging on about this on a podcast called the Movify Your Life Show. Well, first of all, it is kind of movie related. And I know a lot of people out there have a huge love of Lord of the Rings and have movified their lives by set jetting to New Zealand and going on Lord of the Rings tours and Hobbit tours, including myself, as I mentioned. So I thought I might mention it on the podcast anyway because of that. As I was walking around it, I was like, I need to mention this. Also, small village life. I'm always talking about looking at your life from a new perspective, a new lens, sort of stepping back and seeing how wherever you live would appear to either a tourist or an alien. It's quite a good exercise to do. And it sort of reminded me of how lucky I am to live in a small village in the middle of the English countryside, one with such an interesting history, an actual stately home, local historical societies, and people who put on community events such as the one I went to, where people from all three villages and beyond come together to celebrate something in our local history. It was very quaint, very British, and very cool. So at this point, my little Movify mission to you is to think about your own local area and all the things that happen there. Maybe the thing it's most known for, which you just kind of take for granted because you've always known it, or the people living there, and just step back and look at it from a fresh perspective for a moment and really appreciate where you live, even and especially if it's not where you'd ideally like to be living. I'm sure you can find something to love about it and to be grateful for.
Okay, movie star, real talk. Are you tired of feeling like a background extra in your own life? Then it's time to step into the spotlight and activate your main character era. And I've got just the thing to help you do it. Grab my free Movie Star Alter Ego Starter Kit, your behind-the-scenes pass to creating the bold, brave, action-taking version of you who goes after their dreams like the star of a blockbuster. Inside, you'll discover how to design your alter ego, choose your transformational item, pick your theme song, and build the rituals and confidence cues you need to start living your life like the epic movie it was meant to be. So, if you're ready to rewrite your script, roll camera, and finally take the lead, head to movifyyourlife.com/free to download your free starter kit now. That's movifyyourlife.com/free. Your next scene starts today. And now, let's get back to the action.
But the main reason I wanted to do this podcast episode is because before this exhibition, I basically knew nothing about the Tolkien Society or the people who ran it. I just thought it sounded like a fun thing to go and visit, something out of the norm for our small village. Like you'd usually have to go to the nearest local town or city to, find events like this. So it was cool that it was just happening down the road. But by talking to the people there, I talked to a few people there, especially as we were there near the start on the first day. There was lots of people sort of asking if I was into Tolkien and if I live in the village and telling me all about it and hearing how it came about and what the mayor said in his speech. I got the impression that David Robbie, the main guy, the book author, the head of the society, who had lived in the village for 50 years, he had had a dream of holding a Tolkien weekend in the village, as this woman told me anyway, for 50 years. Now, I don't know if he moved here because Tolkien lived here and he was a huge fan and that was a kind of cool thing. Or I don't know if he became more of a fan when he moved here and found out all the history. But as a local historian and author and fan of Tolkien, he lived and breathed this stuff for 50 years. And he finally got to hold the event he'd been planning and hoping to have for decades. And one of the women there who I was talking to, who had obviously helped put this on, referred to it as his life's work, which really stuck with me. Isn't that incredible? And it got me thinking about my life's work, about everyone's life's work. Do you have something that would fall into this category, even if you're hopefully nowhere near the end of your life yet? Like, do you have something you're so passionate about and love so much that you either have already or would dedicate a good chunk of your life to pursuing some kind of goal in that area? Do you have a purpose in life? Different people have different purposes. Perhaps your purpose is to raise children, and have an awesome family life. Perhaps your purpose is to do with your career or your job. Perhaps your purpose is to do with a business you have. Perhaps your purpose is to do with helping others in any way you can. Perhaps it's to do with a passion of yours, passion project. But whatever it is, does something immediately come to mind? This is something I think about a lot because I believe that having a purpose gives us a far richer life. And without purpose, life can feel empty. And that's when, people start asking, what is the point of life? Why are we here? All these existential questions. And without purpose, people can end up just coasting through life, simply letting things happen to them instead of going out there and making incredible things happen, like this guy did with the event. And his books and talks and societies and the committees he's on. It's all revolving around his love of history and local history and all that stuff. I even saw, because I Googled his name in preparation for recording this, that he was given a Local Citizen of the Year award back in 2017 for his contributions to the local area and local history. And I'm sure he's done way more because it's been almost a decade since then. And not many people can say that, can they? That they have a Citizen of the Year award. That is very cool. So, do you have something you would consider to be your life's work, or potentially your life's work, because maybe you're still figuring it out? What would you say is your biggest passion? What is your purpose? If you don't know, or even if you do, or you're not sure, I highly recommend taking a while to ponder this. Meditate on it if that's your thing, journal on it, discuss it with friends or family. It's an interesting topic to talk about anyway. Or talk to Chatty G or Uncle Claude or whoever your preferred AI friend is. And I just think it's a really useful and interesting exercise. And like I say, your life's work doesn't have to revolve around your job or your career. It could be something totally separate that you work on in your spare time, on evenings or weekends or annual leave days. It could be something that starts as a side project and becomes your career. You never know. For me, it's Movify Your Life. But it wasn't always, because this brand only came into being a couple of years ago. Before that, I worked on so many things. So many businesses and side hustles. Things I tried out, things that went nowhere, things that pivoted into something else. And I used to look back at those things and think, what a waste of time, money and energy. But now I look back and think, all that time I was learning things, I was making mistakes, I was learning from my failures, I was figuring out what I did and didn't like, what I did and didn't want to do. And all of my ideas were becoming more complex and stretched and honed and changed into something that eventually became Movify Your Life. And I had to go through all that stuff to get to this point. And maybe you have something similar. So I can see it happening when I look back at my past, like see all the skills I picked up at certain parts of my life and for certain projects, skills I use in my business today. It's all like little parts of a jigsaw puzzle. And for the past 15 or so years, I'd say, I've been slowly putting it together. And now I finally arrived at the thing I love and the thing I know I was meant to do. Now I know Movify Your Life and all its little iterations and whatever I do with it, podcasts, courses, memberships, books, my mailing list, social media, events, retreats, whatever I do around it is my life's work. And hopefully it will be for the next few years, decades, if I'm lucky, and if I keep working at it. And knowing that and not having to guess or wonder anymore, I used to think, is this the thing that will be the business that I actually want to do? Now I know that it is. And sometimes you just know, you just have to go through a lot of other stuff first to get to this point. So that's really cool. I can just go full speed ahead now in this direction and give it my all. And someday I want some random person to be talking to someone at an exhibition or an event or whatever, a retreat I'm putting on, and hear the words, Movify Your Life? Oh yes, it's her life's work. That would be pretty cool, wouldn't it? And I particularly love the idea of choosing one big goal. Like you can have lots of goals around it, do lots of stuff around it, of course. But for the sake of this exercise that I'm going to give you, let's stick with one. A big goal you want to aim for, even if it may be decades down the line, though it may come sooner now if you're actively thinking about it and working towards it. So for our local historian friend, he wanted to throw a Tolkien weekend for the local villages, including work from local artists and Germanic wizards that would draw people from all over the county to come together and celebrate the fact that once upon a time, we were home to an amazing author and that parts of our beautiful countryside inspired him to write his much-loved books. And yes, he did loads of other things along the way. He wrote his own non-fiction books about the area. He gave talks. He sat on committees. But as far as I could make out anyway, by what I was told, this was the sort of like one thing he was working towards. It's what he really wanted to do. And he did it. So what could your thing be? Maybe you also want to hold a community event like he did, or write a book, or give a talk on something you believe in. Maybe you want to start your own group or society or committee and make your mark on the world, or at least your local area. Maybe you want to start a tradition or teach something or celebrate something. Whatever it is, I want you to decide on that thing now. Write it down and put that note somewhere you'll see it every day. You could even create a graphic on Canva or get an AI friend to generate an image for you, picturing that thing or event you want to achieve. Then you know what you're aiming for, and you know what to say yes or no to depending on whether it will take you further towards or further away from that big thing you want to do, your life's work, your purpose. For me, as I said, I love doing online work and helping people all over the world. I want to build an amazing, huge online global community, but I would love to do a local community event too. I'd love to help people Movify their lives in person, and I'd really love to run Movify workshops, retreats, and pop-up events at hotels and Airbnbs. So for now, until I decide on something bigger, a Movify Your Life retreat is the big thing I'm working towards, which will be, so far, the culmination of my life's work. It may change, it may grow, it may get in ridiculously, so much bigger. That's fine. Just have something to aim towards right now. So what's yours? Have a think, have a ponder, journal, discuss, and then write it down and put it somewhere you'll see it every day. I hope this episode got you thinking, and if you know anyone who you think would enjoy this or get something out of it, please share it. You want to share the Movify message far and wide. Thank you for listening, and until next Movify Monday, I will see you on the red carpet.
Thank you so much for listening to the Movify Your Life show. Before you go, don't forget to sign up for the main character memo mailing list at movifyyourlife.com/list for exclusive tips, treats, and behind-the-scenes magic. And if you enjoyed this episode, I would really appreciate it if you could please subscribe, leave a review, or share this podcast with a friend. Let's spread that Movify message far and wide, because everyone deserves to live an epic life fit for the big screen. I'll see you next week for another Movify Monday. Until then, that's a wrap.